My name is Sophia, 29 years old, and I've spent years trying to prove my worth to a family that seemed to overlook me. I sit in my cramped apartment, staring at an old graduation photo, me in my cap and gown, smiling faintly, while my sister Lily beams beside me, her degree framed and paid for by our parents. The contrast stings, a silent wound reopened by their latest decision. They funded her college education without hesitation, but when my graduation day came, their wallets stayed closed, their excuses hollow. My anger simmers, a fire I've kept banked for too long, but now it's igniting a plan. Their faces will pale when they realize what I've set in motion. Growing up, I was the quiet one, always buried in books, earning straight A's while Lily, 2 years younger, charmed everyone with her laughter and effortless grace. Our parents, a middle-class couple with modest means, doted on her, buying her the latest gadgets, cheering at her soccer games. I didn't mind at first. I found my joy in academics, dreaming of a journalism career. In high school, I worked part-time at a diner, saving every penny for college, while Lily breezed through with their support. When I was accepted into a state university, I expected some help, but Dad shrugged. We're stretched thin with Lily's tuition. I nodded, swallowing my disappointment, and took out loans. College was a grind. I juggled classes, a campus job, and freelance writing, my grades slipping under the pressure but still decent. Lily, meanwhile, attended a private college, her dorm room filled with their gifts, new laptops, designer clothes. I'd visit home, seeing her flaunt her privilege, while Mom would say, "You're so independent, Sophia." The words felt like a backhanded compliment, a justification for their neglect. Graduation day arrived, and I walked across the stage, proud but exhausted, my loans a shadow over my joy. They clapped politely, but when I hinted at financial help, Dad muttered, "You managed fine." Lily's graduation, a year later, was a lavish affair, paid in full, with a celebratory cruise. The disparity gnawed at me. After college, I landed a junior reporter job, clawing my way up through late nights and grit. Lily, with her degree and their backing, flitted between internships, always landing softly. I paid off my loans slowly, each payment a reminder of their favoritism. Last month, they announced a family reunion, a chance to celebrate our successes. I agreed, but my mind churned with a plan. I'd expose their bias, turn their pride into shame, though I wasn't sure how yet. I started gathering evidence. I dug through old emails, finding messages where Mom promised Lily unlimited support, while telling me to budget wisely. I saved bank statements showing their deposits into Lily's account, contrasting with my loan applications they ignored. My friend Rachel, a lawyer, reviewed them over coffee. "Sophia, this could be grounds for an emotional distress claim," she said. "But a public move might hit harder." Her words sparked an idea, something at the reunion to make them face their choices. At work, I pitched a story on family dynamics and financial inequity, using anonymized details from my life. The editor greenlit it, and it went live online, drawing comments from others with similar experiences. I didn't name my parents, but the parallels were clear to me. I printed copies, planning to distribute them at the reunion. I also contacted a financial advisor, learning I could request a formal accounting of their support, legal, and a shock they wouldn't expect. The reunion loomed, a catered event at their house. I arrived early, setting up a display of my achievements, articles, awards, next to Lily's framed degree. My plan was taking shape, a quiet revenge that would force them to confront their actions. Their faces would pale when they saw what I'd prepared, and the next step would seal their regret. I wasn't sure how far it would go, but I was ready to find out. The day of the family reunion arrived, and my stomach churned with a mix of nerves and anticipation. I woke early, arranging my display in my parents' living room, my articles framed beside Lily's degree, a silent comparison. The scent of Mom's roast filled the air, a familiar comfort that clashed with the tension building inside me. My plan was set, a quiet storm ready to break over their oblivious celebration. Their faces would pale when they saw what I'd prepared, and I was determined to make them confront the truth, though the outcome remained a mystery I'd unravel step by step. The house buzzed with relatives by noon, uncles laughing, cousins chasing each other, Lily preening in a new dress Mom had bought her. I greeted them with a forced smile, my hands clutching the stack of printed articles and financial documents. Dad clapped me on the back. Good to see you, Soph, his tone casual, unaware of the reckoning to come. Mom fussed over the table, oblivious to the storm I'd brewed. I waited for the right moment, my heart pounding as guests mingled. After dinner, I stood by my display, drawing attention. I'd like to share something, I announced, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. Relatives gathered, curious. I handed out copies of my article, its title, The Cost of Favoritism, hinting at my story. The room quieted as they read, murmurs rising. I pointed to the documents. Emails where Mom promised Lily support, bank statements showing their deposits, my loan rejection letters. They paid for Lily's college, I said, but left me with debt. This is my proof. Lily's face flushed, her smile fading. Sophia, that's private, she snapped, but I held firm. It's the truth. Dad stepped forward, his brow furrowed. We did what we could. You were always so capable. Mom's eyes darted, her hands twisting. We didn't mean to hurt you, she murmured, but the damage was clear. Their faces paled, the realization sinking in as aunts whispered and uncles exchanged looks. I'd planned this moment to sting, and it did. The confrontation escalated. Dad tried to dismiss it. This is family business, not for public display. But an uncle interjected, she's right to speak up. The room divided, some defending my parents, others nodding at my evidence. Lily stormed off, tears streaking her makeup, while Mom followed, pleading. I stayed, answering questions, my resolve hardening. Rachel had advised me to record the reactions, so I discreetly taped the exchange, a legal safeguard and a personal victory. Later, I contacted the financial advisor again, requesting a formal accounting of their support. The response came quickly. Lily had received $50,000 over 4 years, while I'd gotten $2,000 for books. I shared this with Rachel, who drafted a demand letter for reimbursement, citing emotional distress. This could force a settlement, she said. I hesitated, weighing the legal route against my public move, deciding to send the letter as a warning. At work, the article's success opened doors. My editor offered a podcast series on family dynamics, and I recorded the first episode, masking my identity but drawing from my pain. Listeners flooded the comments with similar stories, their support a bomb. I used the platform to hint at my next step, building anticipation. Back home, I found a note from Mom, apologizing but deflecting blame. I kept it, a sign their regret was beginning. My plan was taking root, a blend of public exposure and legal pressure. Their faces had paled, but the full impact was yet to come. I prepared for their response, knowing the next move would define my triumph. They wouldn't expect what I had in store, and I was ready to see it through. The days after the reunion were a whirlwind of emotions and escalating consequences. I woke each morning to the soft glow of my apartment, the framed articles on my wall a reminder of my resolve, but my mind raced with the fallout from that night. My parents' pale faces haunted me, Dad's furrowed brow, Mom's trembling hands, Lily's tear-streaked retreat. Yet their silence since then fueled my determination. My plan had struck a nerve, and I was ready to push further, turning their favoritism into a lesson they couldn't ignore. The full impact was still unfolding, and I braced myself for what lay ahead. The morning after, my phone buzzed with messages. Aunts and uncles texted, some supportive, "You deserved better, Sophia," others critical, "This was harsh." Mom called, her voice shaky. "We need to talk, privately." I agreed, meeting her at a quiet cafe. She apologized, tears in her eyes, blaming financial strain and Lily's needs. We didn't mean to favor her, she insisted, but the words rang hollow against the evidence. I showed her the financial accounting, $50,000 for Lily, $2,000 for me, and her face paled again. "We'll repay you," she whispered, a promise I recorded on my phone, a legal edge Rachel had suggested. Dad's response came via email. a formal letter denying intent but offering a $10,000 settlement to move past this. I forwarded it to Rachel, who laughed. That's a start, but we can push for more: emotional distress, lost opportunities. She drafted a counteroffer for $30,000, citing my loans and therapy costs, a figure to make them squirm. I sent it, my hands steady, knowing it would force a reaction. Lily texted, furious, "You're ruining us." But I replied calmly, "I'm reclaiming what's fair." Her silence afterward was telling. The podcast series launched, and the first episode, "The Hidden Cost of Family Bias," drew thousands of listens. I masked my identity, using a voice modulator, but wove in details: college debt, parental excuses, that mirrored my story. Comments poured in, stories of siblings favored, parents blind to inequity. One listener, a lawyer, offered pro bono advice, suggesting a family trust audit. I pursued it, uncovering a savings account Dad had opened for Lily's future, untouched while I struggled. The audit report, sent to my parents with a copy to Rachel, escalated the pressure. At work, the series boosted my profile. My editor greenlit a live panel, inviting experts on family dynamics. I prepared a segment, planning to hint at my resolution without revealing all. The event drew a crowd, and during the Q&A, a caller asked about confronting favoritism. I responded, "Sometimes, proof and patience outshine neglect," a veiled nod to my plan. The clip went viral, amplifying my reach. Colleagues praised my insight, unaware of the personal stake, and I channeled the energy into a book proposal, Silent Justice, a memoir of my journey. The family pressure intensified. Dad called, his voice strained. "Sophia, let's settle this. $20,000, no lawsuits." I countered with Rachel's $30,000 demand, adding a condition: they publicly acknowledge their bias at a family meeting. He hesitated, then agreed, his reluctance a victory. Mom visited, bringing a check for $5,000 as a good faith gesture, her eyes avoiding mine. I accepted it, banking it as leverage, my plan tightening like a vice. Lily's reaction was the wild card. She showed up at my apartment, uninvited, demanding I drop everything. "You're tearing us apart," she cried, but I stood firm. "You benefited from their choices, Lily. I'm just balancing the scales." She left, slamming the door, and I found her old diary in my childhood room during a visit, entries bragging about manipulating Mom and Dad. I photographed the pages, another piece for my arsenal, though I hadn't decided to use it yet. The family meeting was set for a week later. I prepared a presentation, charts of their financial support, my loan statements, the diary excerpts, planning to project it on their living room wall. Relatives were invited, a public stage for their accountability. I rehearsed with Rachel, who coached me to stay calm. "Let the evidence speak," she said. I arrived early, setting up, my heart pounding but my mind clear. Their faces would pale again when they saw the full extent of my plan, and the next move would cement my triumph. I wasn't sure how they'd react, but I was ready to face it. The family meeting day arrived with a heavy stillness, the morning light filtering through my curtains as I prepared with a mix of resolve and nervous energy. I woke early, the projector and documents packed with meticulous care, my heart pounding with the weight of what was to come. The drive to my parents' house felt surreal, the familiar streets blurring as I rehearsed my presentation in my mind. The living room, usually alive with family warmth, transformed into a stage for judgment as relatives filed in, their whispers a prelude to the storm I was about to unleash. My plan had evolved from a personal grievance into a public reckoning, and I was ready to see it through to its conclusion. Their faces would pale once more, and this time, the outcome would be a definitive turning point in our family dynamics. I set up the projector on the dining table, my hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. Dad greeted me with a tight-lipped smile, his usual confidence shaken, while Mom avoided my gaze, busying herself with coffee. Lily lingered in the corner, her arms crossed, her new dress a stark reminder of their favoritism. As the room filled, uncles, aunts, cousins, even a great aunt who rarely attended, I began. "Today, we address a truth that's been buried too long. I said, my voice clear and firm, cutting through the murmurs. The screen lit up with charts. $50,000 funneled into Lily's college fund over 4 years, $2,000 for my books. My loan statements a stark red line of contrast. Gasps rippled through the crowd, the silence growing heavy as I played the cafe recording of Mom's promise to repay, her voice trembling through the speakers. Then came the diary excerpts, Lily's boasts of manipulating Mom and Dad, projected in her own handwriting. The room fell into a stunned hush, their shock a tangible force. Dad stood, his face reddening. This is exaggerated, Sophia, he protested, his voice cracking. But an uncle, always the mediator, cut in, she's got proof, John. You can't deny it. Mom clutched his arm, tears streaming down her cheeks. We were wrong, she admitted, her voice breaking under the weight of the confession. Lily's glare turned to panic. She fled upstairs, her footsteps echoing her defeat. I outlined the settlement, $30,000 to cover my loans, therapy costs, and lost opportunities, plus a public apology to be read to the family. Dad nodded reluctantly, his hands trembling as he wrote a check on the spot, the ink smudging under his unsteady grip. The apology followed, a halting speech where he acknowledged their bias, Mom echoing his words with a sob. Their faces paled, the realization of their actions laid bare before the family, a moment of reckoning they couldn't escape, the aftermath unfolded swiftly. The check cleared within days, a weight lifted from my shoulders as I paid off the last of my loans, the relief mingling with a sense of justice. I framed the apology letter, hanging it beside my articles as a symbol of my victory, a daily reminder of my resilience. At work, the panel's success propelled me forward. My editor secured a book deal for Silent Justice, a memoir blending my story with others' experiences of family inequity. The advance funded a small office space, a dream I'd deferred, and I began writing, the words flowing with newfound purpose. The podcast hit 50,000 downloads, comments flooding with praise. Your courage changed my perspective, and I hosted a live Q&A, answering questions with the modulator, my anonymity a shield that amplified my message. The family dynamics shifted. Lily called weeks later, her voice shaky. I'm sorry, Soph. I didn't see it then. I accepted her apology, setting boundaries, no more financial dependence on our parents, and she agreed to contribute to a joint family fund I proposed. My parents visited, bringing a hesitant reconciliation offer, dinners, shared holidays. I agreed cautiously, inviting them to my office launch, where they saw my success firsthand. Mom cried again, this time with pride, and Dad offered to mentor me in business, a gesture I took as a step forward. The scholarship fund I started with part of the settlement grew, supporting first-generation students, turning my pain into a legacy. One evening, I found an old photo album, its pages filled with Lily's milestones but sparse for mine. I added my graduation picture, the check stub, and the apology, creating a new narrative. The note from Mom, slipped under my door after the meeting, apologized again, promising change. I kept it, unopened, a relic of their defeat, choosing to focus on my future. Reflecting, my revenge wasn't about destruction, it was about justice and redemption. Their favoritism broke my trust, but my strategy, proof, patience, and public exposure rebuilt it. Their pale faces marked my triumph, a lesson etched into our family's story. If you faced parental bias, this is for you. Share your tale below. Subscribe to Revenge Tempest for more victory stories, and hit the bell for updates. Until next time.